Connor, thanks. 6:47 right now. The countdown is on in Washington. Lawmakers have 1 week before funding runs out at the federal level, which means the government could shut down. Let's get more on this from Scripps News Group's Nathaniel Reed live this morning in Washington. Now, between all the talk on tariffs, the DOGE cuts, I feel like this has been on the back burner sneaking up on us. So is this really going to happen? Can we avoid this?
Yeah, Blaine, this has been looming in the background for weeks now, for months even. The possibility that a government shutdown could happen in mid-March when President Biden signed this funding law into law to allow the government to be funded through mid-March. There were a lot of questions about who would win the election and what the outcome would be once we approach this funding deadline. And now that we are here, it appears like Congress could be facing down a potential cliff. Now, Democrats are angry. They're extremely angry over some of the cuts that DOGE and Elon Musk have been making to the federal government. They've called them illegal. They're working to try and challenge a lot of them in the courts. And for that reason, it's been elusive for lawmakers from both parties to reach a funding agreement. Now, Republicans have threatened to do government funding alone, trying to keep flat levels, effectively keep the same funding that they passed into law last year for the rest of this year. Still a lot of questions about whether Republicans and some Democrats would be amenable to that. They likely will need some bipartisan support because of that extremely slim Republican majority that Republicans have right now in the House of Representatives. That being said, conservative Republicans, members of the ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus, saying that they're supportive of this plan to keep government funding flat, prevent a government shutdown until at least late September. Take a listen. Mr. Chairman, can you get behind a clean CR?
Absolutely, 100%. We need to advance President Trump's agenda. That's what he's asked for. That's what I'm going to get behind. I'm going to urge all the members of the Freedom Caucus to get behind.
And while the members of the ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus might be behind this funding plan, there's still the question of whether Democrats would be willing to support it. Democrats have been pushing for a funding plan that includes language requiring the Trump administration to spend all of the money that Congress sends it. This is a fight that has been brewing for some time now as Trump and his administration make unilateral cuts to things like USAID, possibly the Department of Education, and other policy areas. There's questions from members of Congress about whether doing so is illegal, given that Congress has sent that money to be spent by those agencies. And there's questions about whether the administration can unilaterally make that decision to not spend the money on, let's say, education, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and the U.S. Agency for International Development. So all of this is a storm brewing headed for next Friday, Blaine.
All right, 1 week to go. We'll be watching Nathaniel Reed live for us this morning in Washington. As always, thank you. Our time now, 6:50.